Now, the laser rangefinder is one of the most important pieces of kit. Certainly myself, and I know a lot of golfers rely on it pretty heavily during a round of golf. So it's important you get the right one for your needs and your budget, and the one that delivers the best combination of features and ease of use for you. So I'm going to test out 12 of the latest laser rangefinder models out on the golf course here at Burley Park Golf Club to see exactly what the pros and cons of each are, see how they perform, see how they stack up against each other. We're going to break it down into various different categories so you can skip to whichever section is most relevant for you. We'll put some timestamps down below so you can skip to the relevant areas. We'll also put a full list in the description of all the laser rangefinders that we've tested in this video, so you know exactly what we've included. But without further ado, let's dive into the different categories, starting with the most feature-packed laser rangefinders of 2021. Now, arguably one of the most feature-packed laser rangefinders in this test is the Garmin Approach Z82, and that's because it stands out from the rest by having a hole map displayed in the side of the view. So you get your front, middle, back distances, but you also get a hole map which shows you various layup points, and if you enter your driving distance before you play, it'll plot where that driver distance will finish on each hole. It's a really cool user experience. You can scroll through different parts of the hole and get a more zoomed in area at different points to see what lies ahead a bit clearer. It's quite weighty, which I quite like, although it isn't, I wouldn't say it's as easy to pick out the flag as others in this test. Once you do pick out the flag, the red lighting changes to yellow and flashes nice and bright, so you know you've picked out the flag from the background. And there's just a whole host of other features. You can partner it with the app to get live wind data. Within the laser itself, you can add your score on it. You can change it to slope adjusted plays-like distances if you want to, so you can turn that off for tournament play. It's pretty effective at changing hole, I found, but you can change hole manually as well if you want to. So yeah, we haven't got enough time to go into all the different features this laser offers, but if you're looking for the best of the best, yeah, this Garmin Approach Z82 is arguably right up there. It's very expensive compared to the others, but you could argue you get what you pay for. Now, one laser that's really moving on the innovation we see within the category is this Precision Pro R1 Smart, and the reason for that is that it pairs with an app on your phone to give you an awful lot more information about the club that you need to hit and what lies ahead. So use Bluetooth to give you, obviously you can see you've got a GPS app that shows the hole you've got lying ahead, and if you toggle on the slope button here on the side, it will give you my slope distances. So this takes into account the changes in elevation, the humidity, and also the wind speed. And you've also got a wind assist button here, which you can press that, turn it on, it will tell you that the wind is currently 7.2 miles an hour, and then you're going to have to hit it 6 yards longer. It's taking 6 yards off the shot. So that's a really useful feature I've not seen before on a laser, and it kind of pairs with the two working together to give you that information. But most of the information is on the app. So you can see here, you've got these slope adjusted distances. You can even start to track your shots, so you can enter what clubs you're hitting on different shots, and it will start to form an opinion of how far you're hitting each of those clubs. And what you can do before you play is enter your launch monitor data, so your ball speed, your launch angle, and your spin numbers, to help it calculate, using an algorithm, what club you need to hit on certain shots based on all those environmental factors. It sounds fancy, and if you're into your data and if you're really kind of into it, it's a good option to have. There's a lot of golfers out there who won't have their launch monitor data to hand. Even someone like myself who tests an awful lot of clubs, I don't have my launch monitor data for an 8-iron or a 5-iron. So yeah, that's something that you're going to have to do separately. Once you add that in, I think it's probably worth doing, but it is going to take a bit of time to get the most out of this Precision Pro R1 Smart. But you know, the laser on its own is very good. It's quite big. It gives you, all the information you need. It vibrates nicely when you pick out the flag from the background, gives you all the relevant information. But this really is moving it on to another level. I think there'll be a lot of golfers who really enjoy what this app experience has to offer. Now, the last model within the feature pack category is the Nikon Coolshot Pro 2 Stabilised, and the thing that sets this laser apart is how the scope kind of hovers around the point that you're trying to zap. So basically, if you're slightly unsteady of your hand, it will help you pick out the flag a little bit easier. And it's something I noticed with practice, it does take a bit of getting used to, but once you get used to it, it actually does help to center around the point that you're trying to pick, i.e. the flag. And you'll notice when I pick out the flag there from the background, you get a visual confirmation in the display, but you can hear that little beep as well, which lets you know you pick up the flag from the background. You might also notice it's flashing green here, which says it's legal for tournament use. There are 4 different distance modes that take into account various factors. I'm not exactly sure what each of them mean or how they're different, but there is a mode that gives you slope adjusted distances, and then there's this mode, which is legal for tournament use. The other things I like about this laser is that you've got a 7.5 degree field of view, so you get a lot of view. You haven't got to move it around too much to see exactly what you want to see, and the distances appear really, really quickly. So that's something, if you're not wanting to faff around too much, you'll really enjoy what this laser has to offer. And it has an automatic brightness adjustment feature, so regardless of your light conditions, you should be able to see everything really clearly. So Nikon Coolshot Pro 2 Stabilised, an excellent laser rangefinder. It's quite expensive at £500, but it does come in this Coolshot Lite version, which offers a similar level of functionality. It doesn't quite have the jazzy graphics in the display. It's 10 grams lighter, it's a little bit cheaper if you're looking for similar functionality at a less expensive price. So now we're moving into a new category. These are what I think are the best lasers for simplicity, and arguably one of the very best is the Bushnell Tour V5 Slim, which I've got here. It does come in a Tour V5 Shift Slim version, which adjusts for slope, but if you just want a simple laser that's going to give you fast, accurate distances to the pin that you can use in your medal at the weekend, this is definitely one of the very best. It's the one that I currently use. It's really easy to use. You've got one button on the top, picks up the flag really easy from the background, gives you a vibration and a flashing red ring in the display that tells you you picked out from the flag from the background. Really quick to use. You've got a yards meters button here on the side and a magnetic mount on the other side if you want to stick it to your buggy. It does that really. It's got 7 pounds of pulling force, so it's not going to come off. And basically, if you just want a faff-free experience, this Bushnell Tour V5 Slim is one of the very best. Comes in at £299, which I think is pretty decent value for money given the clarity in the display, which is really what sets this laser apart. It's definitely one of the very best. And in terms of ease of use for picking up the flag, you're not going to struggle with this. Next up, we have the Motocaddy Pro 3000. It's relatively light, just under 200 grams, and quite wide and bulky, but still fits your hand really well. Just scroll through the different modes with the mode button on the top. You've got a pin mode, and then you've got press it again, you get through to the slope mode. So it will give you slope adjusted distances if you want to. Pick out the flag from the background, and it'll give you a nice vibration to let you know you've got the right distance. The clarity in the display is really, really good. Even in these dim conditions, I was able to see exactly what I wanted to see really well. And then the carry case, which you'll see here, you've got this kind of attachment, which means you can attach it to a Motocaddy accessory station on your trolleys. So it's always going to be in a convenient place. It does come with a lanyard as well if you just want to clip it to the side of your bag. So, you know, I think if you want a simple laser rangefinder that's going to give you all the information you need, the Motocaddy Pro 3000, really, you can't fault it. Next up, we have the Zoom Focus Tour, and I think what sets this laser apart is the way it looks. So it's got this hybrid metal design, which I think looks really premium. It's probably one of the best looking laser rangefinders in this test. It's quite bulky in your hand, but it's very easy to keep it nice and steady. You've got different modes that you access via the button on the top, so the flag mode and then a scan mode as well, so you can scan across the horizon and pick out different points. The distances will change as you move it, so that's really useful, especially off the tee. You've got a slope button on the side, which is really easy to use, and then through the display, when you've got it turned on, it will give you both distances, so it'll give you the slope adjusted distance and the regular distance. So it's good to know what both of them are. You know, in terms of ease of use, can't really fault it. It's light but not too light that you can't keep it stable. It's got a decent range on it, very easy to use. So, you know, Zoom Focus Tour ticks all the boxes really that you'd want from a laser rangefinder. It's relatively expensive, just under £300, but I think for a laser, if you want something that looks premium, classy, quite elegant, it ticks all those boxes, and the clarity through the viewfinder is excellent. Regardless of your light conditions, I found it really easy to see exactly what I needed to. The last model within the simplicity category is this Nikon Coolshot 50i. I like the feel of it. It's got nice tacky sections, top and bottom, which allows you to keep a firm hold of it in your hand, although it is quite light. It's only just over 170 grams, so in the wind I felt like it was a little bit unsteady, and that in turn made it a little bit more difficult to pick out the flag from the background. There's a flag over there, which I'm trying to pick out. I have to use two hands to kind of get it. When you do get it, it vibrates nice and quickly to let you know you've picked out the flag from the background. And the display itself has quite a bright, vivid red graphics, so it's very easy to see in different light conditions. You can see exactly all the information you need to. It's relatively basic, does have slope functionality, and when you haven't got that slope functionality enabled, it will flash green to let your playing partners know that it's legal for tournament play. It's less expensive than the other Nikon models. It does have a magnet though on the side, so if you do play a lot of golf in buggies, could be a really good option for you. You can just clip it onto the buggy, and therefore it's a bit more convenient to get at. So Nikon Coolshot 50i, again, you want that kind of simple experience, want quick, accurate distances, it delivers that for me. Now the last category is value for money. There's a lot of golfers out there who just want a laser that delivers fast, accurate distances. They don't want the bells and whistles. They want to save a few pounds, and there are some models that fit this billing. And the first one is the ShotScope Pro L1. Comes in under £200 now, you can get it for. And they've actually added 40 grams of weight to it versus the prior generation. So it's a bit more weight in your hand, and I think that's a good addition because it helps you keep it a bit more steady in the wind. There's a lot of features on this laser, so you can toggle the slope functionality on and off. This red light will flash when it's in tournament legal mode, which is a bit unusual, but it lets you know that it's legal for tournament play. And this button on the other side means you can toggle between a red display and a black display. So if you're playing in quite bright conditions, you probably want to go for the black display. If it's quite dim and overcast like it is today, you probably want to opt for that red display to give you a bit more of a clearer view. It's very easy to use. The one thing I would say about this laser versus everything else we've tested is that the distances do pop up a lot slower than the others. You probably have to wait a good second and a half before the distances actually appear, which is a little bit frustrating. It does vibrate when you pick out the flag from the background, so it gives you that reassurance that you've got the right distance. It's just a bit slow, unfortunately, compared to the others, but in terms of value for money, you know, it ticks all the boxes in terms of features. It's pretty easy to use, and it's a good option to try if you're looking to save a few pounds. Next up, we have the Easygreen OLED Vision Pro. You can get it for under £200 now, and this is actually one of the lightest laser rangefinders in this test, weighing 145 grams. And combined with the fact it's one of the smallest as well, I actually think that detracts a little bit from the user experience. It's not as easy to keep it steady, especially in relatively windy conditions like we've got today. But that said, I found it relatively easy to pick out the flag from the background, and when you do that in the pin mode, you get a nice vibrating burst to let you know you've got the right distance. You can toggle on and off the slope functionality using this button on the side here, so it's really easy to use. And the other feature with this laser, you can press the two buttons together on the top to change the brightness of the graphics within the display. So if it's slightly dark, you want to see them a bit more clearly, you can up the brightness of those graphics. It doesn't change the brightness of the actual display itself, which is a bit disappointing, but good value to be had here from this laser rangefinder, but just a little bit unsteady in windy conditions. Next up, we have the Golf Buddy Laser Lite, and as the name suggests, this is the lightest laser we have in this test at 142 grams. As I mentioned before, that's not necessarily a good thing, but it is also the least expensive laser rangefinder in this test, £129 for this. So excellent value for money, I think, given the functionality on offer, because you have a normal mode, a pin mode, and a scan mode. So in different situations on the course, that scan mode, as I mentioned before, off the tee is really useful to scan across the horizon and pick out different points of interest. You've got the pin mode, which means the laser will vibrate when it picks out the flag from the background. The vibration is unnecessarily long. When you pick out the flag, it lasts for like 2 or 3 seconds. It doesn't need to be that long for whatever reason it is. And to get the slope adjusted distances, you have to hold down the mode button for 5 seconds, which is a bit inconvenient, frankly. I'm sure they could have thought of a better way to do it. But that said, if you don't play a lot of competitions, you obviously haven't got to employ that all that often. The graphics are pretty basic, but it gives you all the information you need. The accuracy seems to have stacked up against other lasers in this test that are a lot more expensive. So if you want a cut price option that doesn't really skimp on features or accuracy, the Laser Lite from Golf Buddy seems to be a really good option. The last laser within the value category is the Sureshot Pinloc 5000 IPS. You can get it for around about £220 on Amazon. And I have to say, I've really enjoyed using this laser. The gold trim, I say, looks a little bit tacky, but the user experience is really good. It's very easy to use. The display is absolutely fantastic, really, really clear. The graphics in the view stand out from that really well. It's got slope functionality, which you turn on and off via this button on the side. It's got a scan mode, and in the pin mode, when you do zap the flag, the distance will stay in the display for 15 seconds, which is great for me because the amount of times I get the distance and then I go in to get the club and then I completely forget what the distance was and I have to zap the flag again, it's really frustrating. So to be able to look again in the display and see it's still there and know exactly what distance I've got is really useful. So, you know, maybe it doesn't look the best, but in terms of the functionality and the value for money on offer, I'd say this Pinloc 5000 IPS really, really impressed me. Very easy to use, seemed to be pretty accurate, and the display was excellent. So some pretty decent for money there, I think, with this one. Right, so now it's time for me to pick my favourite 3 laser rangefinders of 2021. And in terms of features, for me, my personal favourite was this Garmin Approach Z82 because of that really unique user experience, and those GPS hole maps are absolutely fantastic. In terms of simplicity, my favourite is by far the Bushnell Tour V5 Slim. It's really easy to use. The distances pop up almost instantly. It's really accurate, really quick, and the display is fantastic. In terms of value for money, my favourite is the cheapest laser in this test, the Golf Buddy Laser Lite. It's got a lot of functionality for the price and picks out the flag pretty easily from the background. And while it's a little bit unsteady because it's so lightweight, it seems to be relatively easy to use. So if you push me to pick my favourite laser rangefinder of 2021, it probably would be the Bushnell Tour V5 Slim, simply because I like my lasers to be really simple to use. I don't want those extra bells and whistles that a lot of these laser rangefinders do. And I am excited to try the Precision Pro R1 Smart a bit more and explore that a bit greater. But in terms of simplicity, the Bushnell Tour V5 really gives me everything I need out on the course. I play a lot of competitions, so I'm not too bothered about slope functionality. Don't really feel like I'm missing out. My course is also relatively flat. That might be different for you if you play a lot of different courses, a lot of hilly courses. You need slope functionality. Other lasers in this test might tick the boxes for you. But for me, it's the Bushnell Tour V5 Slim. Hopefully you enjoyed this look at the best laser rangefinders of 2021. Be sure to go on the Golf Monthly website for more in-depth reviews of all of these lasers. Do comment on the video, tell me which one you're most excited to try, which one is really getting your juices flowing the most. I'd love to hear from you. Do click the like button if you like what you're watching, and subscribe to the Golf Monthly YouTube channel while you're there so you don't miss any of our equipment review videos. But that's all from me, from Burley Park Golf Club. I'll see you next time.